In the quiet valley of Aremo lay a village unlike any other. Its people were strong, healthy, and untouched by the tragedies that plagued the world outside. Stories said no one in Aremo had died for over 180 years. Children grew into adults, adults into elders, and elders simply remained. The village had no graves, no funerals, and no mourning cloths. Life was an unbroken line of sunrise after sunrise. Visitors who stumbled upon Aremo often left with confusion swirling in their minds. How could a place be so untouched by sickness? Why did the elders never age past a certain point? The villagers themselves avoided the topic, speaking only in hushed warnings. Do not ask about death. Do not invite it. For generations, this rule stood unquestioned until fate decided otherwise. One Harmattan morning, dust rising in thin spirals, a stranger arrived at the village gate. He looked exhausted, his clothes torn, his eyes wild with desperation. No strangers had come for years. Aremo was too hidden, too forgotten. Yet here he was, swaying on his feet, whispering for help. Chief Olanii instructed the villagers to bring him water and shelter. But the elders exchanged uneasy looks. Outsiders meant change. Change meant danger. As the stranger slept, murmuring strange phrases, one chilling line slipped from his dry lips. Death is coming. Chapter 3. Whispers in the Night. That night, the village felt different. The usual stillness carried a strange tension, like the air held its breath. Crickets chirped unevenly. Palm trees rustled as though troubled by secrets, and the moon hung low, redder than usual. Ayomide, a young villager curious about the stranger, crept toward his hut to listen. She heard him muttering in feverish whispers, places burning, people screaming, shadows chasing him. She shivered, unsure whether he was dreaming or remembering. For the first time in her life, Ayomide felt fear. Chapter 4. The First Death at Dawn. Ayomide felt dawn. Green tore through Aremo. It echoed from the stranger's hut, sharp and raw, jolting the entire village awake. Villagers gathered in confusion, pushing into the small space, only to find the stranger lying still, his body cold. He had died. Aremo had no word for corpse, no ritual for this moment. Panic spread quickly. Could death exist here now? Many stared in horror, while others insisted it was a mistake. But deep within their hearts, they knew Aremo's eternal peace had been broken. Chapter 5. The council meets the elders gathered in the sacred circle, faces grim and confused. For the first time in nearly 2 centuries, they were powerless. Chief Olani's voice trembled slightly as he spoke. We must decide what to do. If death is here, how do we protect our people? Elder Mope raised a trembling hand. The old stories warned us. Something like this was bound to happen. We must consult the oracle. But the oracle had not been approached in decades, not since the village made its pact with life itself. Chapter 6. The Forbidden Cave Ayomide. Unable to sit idle, followed the elders to the ancient cave outside the village. Rumor said it held the village's deepest secret, the reason Aremo was blessed with endless life. The cave was cold and silent, the walls covered in ancient carvings of stars, spirits, and a hooded figure offering light to a group of kneeling people. As the oracle emerged from the shadows, her voice seemed to echo with centuries. "You have broken the balance," she said. "A life entered that was not meant to. Now death will claim what it is owed." Chapter 7. The Oracle's Prophecy. The oracle placed her hands on the ground, whispering incantations older than the village itself. The earth trembled lightly, and a wave of cold swept through the cave. "Death has woken," she said, "and it will not stop at one. It remembers this place, and it is hungry." The elders looked terrified. The prophecy was worse than they expected. "Is there nothing we can do?" Chief Olani asked. The oracle's answer chilled everyone. Death can only be defeated by the one who was born without its shadow. Chapter 8. The Marked Child. Every villager exchanged frightened glances. Only one person matched the oracle's description, Ayomide. She had been born during an eclipse, a rare event said to bring either great blessing or great chaos. Her mother always whispered that Ayomide's birth had changed the winds for 3 days. When her name was spoken aloud, Ayomide felt her heart drop. She never imagined being at the center of something so enormous. But she saw the desperation in the elders' faces and understood. She might be their only hope. Chapter 9. Preparing the chosen Ayomide was taken to the sacred hut for cleansing. The priestesses painted ancient symbols on her arms, whispering protection chants. She felt the weight of their trembling hands. They feared for her. Everyone did. An amulet was placed around her neck, glowing faintly with warm light. "This will shield you from the first strike of death," the lead priestess said, "but only the first." Ayomide swallowed hard. She would face the unknown with only courage and a single protection. Chapter 10. The shadow appears that night. The temperature dropped suddenly. A dark mist slid across the village like living smoke. Lamps flickered, animals cried out, and then, near the stranger's hut, a tall shadow formed, shapeless, silent, and colder than anything Aremo had ever felt. Ayomide stepped forward, clutching the amulet. The shadow turned toward her, and for the first time in her life, she felt the cold stare of something ancient, something that did not belong to the living. Chapter 11. The Chase Begins. As Ayomide stepped backward, the shadow lunged. Villagers scattered, screaming. The amulet flared with light, repelling Beligen, the creature just enough for Ayomide to run. Her heart pounded as she raced toward the forest, branches snapping under her feet. The shadow pursued her with unnatural speed. Every step she took felt heavier, like it was pulling her backward. But Ayomide refused to stop. She would not be the first villager death claimed willingly. Chapter 12. Into the Forest of Echoes. Ayomide stumbled into the Forest of Echoes, a place filled with hundreds of tiny voices that repeated every sound. The forest amplified her fear, sending her own panicked breaths echoing back at her. But the forest also confused the shadow. It paused, flickering uncertainly, unable to locate her exact position. Ayomide pressed herself against a tree, trembling but determined. She needed a plan, and fast. Chapter 13. A hidden ally. A hand suddenly grabbed her wrist. Ayomide gasped, but was quickly silenced by a familiar face. Gehinde, her childhood friend. He had followed her into the forest, refusing to abandon her. "You're not doing this alone," he whispered. Together they moved deeper into the forest. Kehinde led her to an abandoned shrine hidden beneath layers of vines. "The old stories say spirits protect this place," he said. "Maybe they can help." Chapter 14. The Spirit Within. Inside the shrine, Ayomide and Kehinde found a stone altar glowing softly. A faint figure appeared, a guardian spirit long forgotten. Its voice echoed through the shrine like wind. "Child born without shadow, you must face death not with fear, but with truth." Ayomide stepped forward, her voice shaking. "How do I stop it?" The spirit responded, "Death seeks what was denied, the soul of the one who first made the pact." Chapter 15. The village's secret revealed, Ayomide and Kehinde returned to the oracle, demanding the truth. The elders had hidden a dark secret. Aremo's immortality came from a deal struck by the first chief, who sacrificed the soul of his unborn child to prevent death from entering the village. That child's soul had wandered ever since, restless, incomplete. The stranger's arrival disrupted the ancient seal, allowing death to re-enter Aremo to reclaim what it was owed. Chapter 16. The unborn soul Ayomide learned the horrifying truth. She was a descendant of the child who was sacrificed. The missing soul was tied to her bloodline. If she could locate and free it, balance would return. But if she failed, Aremo would fall. Guided by the spirit's words, Ayomide returned to the cave to search for the lost soul. She felt its pull in the darkness, a faint cry, like a child calling to its mother. Chapter 17. The Final Confrontation. As Ayomide reached out to the faint light of the lost soul, the shadow burst into the cave, shrieking with rage. "It will not return," the shadow hissed. "A deal is a deal." Ayomide held the amulet tightly. The amulet glowed, brighter than ever, illuminating the entire cave. Behind her, Kehinde stood ready, refusing to run even as the shadow's darkness thickened around them. Chapter 18. The sacrifice of truth. Ayomide understood what the spirit meant. Death did not want destruction. It wanted justice. She knelt and lifted the lost soul toward the shadow. "Take what was owed," she said softly, "but spare the village." The shadow hesitated, then slowly wrapped itself around the soul. For the first time, Ayomide saw sadness in its form. It had waited 180 years for completion. With a hollow breath, the shadow dissolved into nothing. Chapter 19. The Return of Balance. A sudden warmth filled the cave. The walls stopped trembling, and the air grew lighter. Outside, the villagers felt the shift, like a long, dark storm finally ending. Life flowed naturally again. Not eternal life, but real life. The oracle placed a hand on Ayomide's head. "You ended what began long before you were born. Aremo will now live, as all villages do, blessed but mortal." Villagers gathered for their first funeral, the stranger who started it all. For the first time, death felt peaceful. Ayomide stood with Kehinde as dawn rose over Aremo. Life could now move forward. People could grow, change, and rest. Some endings allow new beginnings.
Please like, subscribe, comment, share, and don't forget to turn on notifications for stories like this.